Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Police and sheriff's deputies in Fayetteville are searching for someone who escaped custody. What investigators are telling us about the search near Cape Fear Valley Medical Center.
And there was some fog on the golf course earlier this morning. It's clearing out nicely. If you're headed out and about this weekend, I'll show you why it'll feel a bit warm and humid.
Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is staying in the race to be the next governor of North Carolina, despite calls for him to step down. His response to an alarming CNN report and the reaction from state GOP leaders. We always appreciate your time here on Fox 50. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Smith. Let's get right back to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. Last weekend of summer, and it's going to feel like it.
It will. We start off this morning with a look at partly cloudy skies over Raleigh. This is a look at RDU, of course. It feels on the comfortable side. Temperatures are in the upper 60s. Our dew point sitting at 66. So kind of middle of the road. It doesn't feel as oppressive as our summer mornings do, but it doesn't feel like a crisp fall morning either. And that's really the way the weekend is going to go. We're going to have some lingering moisture, enough for partly cloudy skies today. And you remember yesterday afternoon, we had those towering cumulus clouds and a few isolated showers or thunderstorms popped up. Same thing for this afternoon. The coverage will be isolated at best, but then we'll repeat that again on Saturday and Sunday. So this afternoon, just a 20% chance of some thunderstorms, and it will be warm. High temperature around 84 degrees. We'll take a closer look at the weekend's humidity coming up in just a bit. Anthony?
Elizabeth, we head out to the roads this morning. Here's a look at the major approaches into the city of Raleigh right now. We do have about a 5-minute delay there, US 1 south from Wake Forest. All those other major approaches looking good, but you can see there are a couple crashes there as you kind of outline the city there on 440. So just keep that in mind as you're headed out this morning. We get closer to Durham, heading here, of course, a little bit farther to the north and west. Those major approaches looking pretty good, about a 2-minute delay westbound there from NC 50 on I-98.
Well, this morning, we're staying on top of two breaking news stories. One story, the deadline passing for Mark Robinson to drop out of the North Carolina race for governor despite calls for him to do so. That's because of comments he reportedly made on a porn website that were revealed in a CNN report. The other story we'll start with. Dozens of police and sheriff's deputies in Cumberland County searching actively for someone who escaped custody. WRAL's Nick Perlin is in the WRAL Breaking News Tracker, joining us now outside the sheriff's office with what he's been able to find out. Nick.
Well, Ken, there's still plenty of questions that we're asking the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office this morning, and we've been asking them all throughout the morning. Right now, we're still trying to figure out where this one person escaped from police custody. But we do know this happened at some point last night. Now, let's get you some video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. And this is on Sycamore Dairy Road, and you can see just how large the police presence here was. Cumberland County Sheriff's Office deputies as well as Fayetteville police were here using drones and K9 units to try to find the person who escaped from their custody. We still don't know when this happened, and we're still trying to find out where exactly this person escaped, as well as the identity of this person who escaped. So we're going to keep asking more questions, and we'll let you know what we find out. In Cumberland County, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Well, this morning, Republican nominee for Governor Mark Robinson is officially staying on the ballot. At midnight, deadline for him to drop out of the race has passed, and after several calls for him to step down. This all comes after a CNN report revealed Robinson made disturbing, sexist, and racist comments on a porn site before he ran for political office. Robinson denies these allegations, calling them salacious tabloid lies. Well, today, the big question remains, what does this mean for the November election? Well, WRAL's Kelsey Coffey staying on top of this story with these new developments. She joins us live from outside the governor's mansion. And Kelsey, walk us through how we got to this point and what's next for Robinson.
Ken, well, as of this morning, Mark Robinson's name will appear on your ballot in November, despite the race here to the governor's mansion taking a major turn. CNN released a report yesterday that alleges Robinson made lewd and racist comments on a porn site, including saying he was, quote, a black Nazi, and wrote posts expressing support for reinstating slavery. Robinson later appeared on CNN for an interview and denied the claims.
We are not getting out of this race. There are people who are counting on us to win this race.
The state GOP later released a statement. It appears they're standing with him, but not all North Carolina Republicans are in support. Some some are calling for him to back out of the race. NC State professor Stephen Green says a Robinson withdrawal could bring more supporters.
I think Republicans to some degree have to look at what happened with Joe Biden stepping aside and Kamala Harris making this a much more presidential campaign and wishing they could do something similar in the North Carolina governor's campaign.
We'll be sure to stay on top of this and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
Well, the North Carolina Republican Party is standing behind Mark Robinson. The party issued a statement on X last night. It says in part, Mark Robinson has categorically denied the allegations made by CNN, but that won't stop the left from trying to demonize him via personal attacks. The statement goes on to say the state GOP believes the election is about policy. That's why state GOP leaders believe the Republican Party will win in November. State Treasurer Dale Folwell, who is also sought the Republican nomination for governor and has been a longtime critic of Robinson, shared his unease with Robinson's alleged comments.
The Republican Party that I joined nearly 50 years ago was a party that was based on conservatism and common sense, and courtesy, humanity, humility, and ethics. And this reporting that's gone on today shows that he really has none of those.
Well, the WRAL NC Capitol team spoke with sources since this story broke. Once we confirmed calls for Robinson to step down by some Republicans, we sent this push alert right there on your screen. Download the WRAL News app to be first to know about breaking news. Well, coming up in about 30 minutes, hear what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s son says about Robinson's alleged racist comments toward his father and the action King III is taking now. Well, former President Donald Trump will be back in North Carolina this weekend. He will be holding a rally in Wilmington tomorrow afternoon. This comes just days after his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, visited Raleigh. Vice President Kamala Harris, meantime, continuing her campaign last night in Michigan. She sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a live stream of the Unite for America event. Harris took questions from voters about the cost of living, reproductive rights, and immigration. New this morning, some staff at Durham schools will now get more money in their monthly paycheck. Just before 11:30 last night, the board voted unanimously to approve an additional $80 per month in the supplement for some employees. This comes as the district has been overhauling its salary schedules for classified employees following protests last year. The positions include in the increase are speech language pathologists, psychologists, school counselors, teachers, nurses, and instructional support personnel. A North Carolina trial judge refused a Republican Party request to block UNC students and employees from showing digital IDs to vote. GOP group sued last week to halt the use of the mobile UNC One card as a qualifying ID, saying state law only allows the State Board of Elections to approve physical IDs. Now, the mobile UNC One card was approved back in August by the State Board of Elections. A small town in Kentucky is still in shock after deputies shot and killed a district judge. What officials believe led up to that shooting in the courthouse. Also, a Texas woman suing a sheriff's office in Florida. Hear what she says about the arrest that landed her behind bars because of a mix-up. Let's welcome back meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner.
Look at some summer feeling air that is in place right now and sticks around for the weekend. Looking at highs in the mid to upper 80s. I'll show you how humid it will be and our chance for some stray thunderstorms coming up.
Welcome back at 8:11 on your Friday morning. We're looking live at Terminal 2 there at RD International. Deck of clouds hanging over the airport this morning, but not a bad day for flying, especially when you get past those clouds. It's clear sailing above Earth. And let's check in with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner now. Boy, this summer feel is back, but this is the last week for summer, actually.
Yes, summer ends on Saturday. Sunday is the first day of fall. And ironically, Sunday's going to be the hottest day of the next 7. It is going to be very summer feeling through the weekend. Right now, we're looking at nice clear skies in Fayetteville as well as Apex. Just a few clouds here in Chapel Hill and hanging over downtown Raleigh. It's going to be a nice day today. Notice things are pretty quiet as we take a look at the satellite and radar, the big picture here. We do have some lingering tropical moisture from the system that came through earlier in the week. And so that'll produce a few clouds this afternoon. Did you notice those big, tall, towering cumulus clouds yesterday evening and a few isolated showers and thunderstorms? We'll repeat that for Friday as well as Saturday and Sunday. Checking out our forecast, of course, through the afternoon and evening. The coverage for rain is going to be pretty slim. Same thing on Saturday. We're going to give it a 20% chance really all through the weekend. Here's the only exception. Late late Saturday night, starting around midnight or so, a disturbance will swing through with some showers, maybe some scattered thunderstorms. And then by the time we get to 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, it's long gone. We'll still have the potential for a few passing clouds and just a small chance of a shower or thunderstorm. So our rain chances all the way through the weekend are just 20%, except for overnight Saturday. We may see a little bit more. A couple of systems that keep trying to develop, but still just a 30% chance. Doesn't look like those are going to really develop into anything. But we're definitely watching the Caribbean here, especially around the Yucatan Peninsula. 40% chance that this develops. And the models have really been picking up on this for the last several days. Have been consistent in it developing, but not consistent in terms of where it goes. So tropical depression probability is going to be at about 60% or so showing up on this model. And then we take a look at model comparison. Model number 1 in red, model number 2 in white. Model number 1 brings the center of circulation next week down here into the southern Gulf. But up here, model number 2, by the time we get to next Friday, a week from today, it has landfall there on the coast, the Gulf Coast of the United States. So that's something that we'll be watching carefully. Models have been kind of all over the place, and it's a whole week away, but that one definitely bears watching. Eventually, if it does make landfall there next weekend, it would bring us some rain, certainly. Saturday and Sunday, temperatures are going to be in the mid to upper 80s. Definitely a warm weekend, but a nice little break, feeling more like fall on Monday. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to take a little closer look at the weekend and how humid it may feel. Anthony?
And we get a check on the roads this morning. There are a couple crashes to tell you about. This first one at Rock Quarry Road there at I-40. All of those sensors, though, still in the green, so we're not seeing any major backups in that direction. But if you're headed in that way, just make sure to keep that in mind. Glenwood Avenue eastbound, also at Blue Ridge Road, a little bit of a slowdown showing up there, right there with the yellows on the sensors. Other than that, we're in decent shape here for our Friday morning.
Hey, Anthony, thanks. Devastating floods hitting northern Italy, forcing people to leave their homes, and schools are closed as well. This comes as the storm system is wreaking havoc all across Central Europe, killing at least 24 people. Officials are warning that more than a dozen rivers in the northern part of Italy are at risk of flooding. People who live along rivers and canals have been ordered to leave their homes. Train travel across the country also being affected and disrupted after the flooding closed crucial rail lines near the city of Bologna. Back in this country now, a sheriff in Kentucky is facing murder charges after investigators say he shot and killed a district judge in his office. Letcher County Sheriff Mickey Steins is being held in jail this morning. Amy Cowley reports on what investigators say led to this deadly shooting.
This community is small in nature, and we're all shook.
State police say a sheriff is charged with fatally shooting a judge at Letcher County Courthouse in Kentucky yesterday afternoon. The victim is identified as 54-year-old District Judge Kevin Mullins. Police say he had multiple gunshot wounds and was pronounced dead at the scene. Letcher County Sheriff Sean M. Steins is charged with first-degree murder.
We know that it was an argument between the two that led up, but what exactly transpired prior to the shots being fired, still things that we're trying to get answers to.
Police say they believe the shooting happened inside the judge's chambers just before 3 o'clock, adding people were in the building then, but no one else is hurt. This social media post from Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear laments the shooting. Kentucky State Police detectives are handling the investigation, according to a spokesperson.
Obviously, it's a small town, and anything that happens out of the ordinary is going to cause for alarm. So, as right now, we just want to reassure people there's no threat to the public.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Well, the U.S. Justice Department has launched a civil rights investigation into a sheriff's department in Mississippi. This comes after 5 former sheriff's deputies and a former police officer pleaded guilty to federal and state charges related to the torture of 2 black men. The group, who called themselves the Goon Squad, were handed lengthy prison sentences this year. The federal investigation will examine whether the Rankin County Sheriff's Office engages in unconstitutional patterns or practices. That includes allegations of using excessive force, racial discrimination against black people, and conducting unlawful stops, searches, and arrests. One more note about the Justice Department: it's spreading awareness about a rise in hate crimes here in North Carolina. The department hosted a hate crime forum at Fayetteville Technical Community College. Victims shared their personal stories and how it's affected their lives. Leaders also gave an overview about federal, state, and local hate crime laws, as well as resources for victims. According to Justice Department data, reported hate crimes in in North Carolina increased from 186 in 2020 to 330 in 2022. That's an increase of 77% in just 2 years. Well, this morning, North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein will speak at an event about drug use in our state. The North Carolina Opioid and Drug Abuse Advisory Committee will hold a meeting this morning about the state's substance abuse action plan. The group will talk about the effects of overdose as well as substance abuse treatment programs. Today's event will be at NC State's McKimmon Center starting at about 9 o'clock this morning and will run until about noon today. Well, federal investigators are accusing social media and streaming companies of a massive campaign to collect personal information on users, even non-users. Federal investigators called it a vast surveillance of anyone using some of the most popular social media and streaming apps. They include Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, X, Snapchat, TikTok, Reddit, WhatsApp, and Discord. Investigators say these companies are gathering information about the user's age, gender, location, and even marital status and income levels to target ads and sell the data to third parties. Many of the companies have refuted or declined to comment on the report. A woman is suing the Florida Sheriff's Office after deputies wrongfully arrested her back in December 2022. This is the moment she was arrested at Fort Lauderdale's airport after returning from a week-long cruise. As Ari Adza reports, the woman's arrest happened because of apparent mistaken identity.
It's for endangering a child.
I think you'll have the wrong person.
Endangering a child? Well, that's why we verified.
That's why we're going to verify.
Except something went seriously wrong in the verification process.
Behind your back.
VSO deputies arrested Jennifer Heath Box as she disembarked from a cruise in 2022, even though the warrant for child endangerment was for a woman named Jennifer Del Carmen Heath.
You've had no incidences at all whatsoever in the past couple of years?
I promise you, I'm sure you hear this a lot.
And Jennifer Box spent 3 nights in jail.
I just felt hopeless. I just didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know how much longer I was going to be in there.
The two women have different middle names, different last names, different addresses, different driver's license numbers, different social security numbers, different hair color, eye color. This Jennifer is 5 inches taller. She's 23 years older than the Jennifer wanted in the warrant. And most importantly, she didn't have minor children to endanger. But Broward County ignored all of this evidence and arrested Jennifer anyway.
When I talk about my emotions for me, I have nothing but anger and frustration. You feel completely broken when you're arrested, because you're humiliated, you're degraded. So it breaks you as a person and going through the situation to begin with, how you're treated. It was very degrading and demeaning.
And that was Ari Adza reporting. Now, the Broward County Sheriff's Office says the department sympathizes with the Jennifer situation, but says investigators in Texas are the ones to blame. Well, Delta Airlines is being sued by a woman who says she was severely burned by hot coffee during a flight. The woman was on a flight to Seattle from Paris last year when she was burned. She said the flight attendant set the coffee on a slanted food tray and it spilled into her lap. She says she ended up with 1st and 2nd degree burns on her legs and stomach that left permanent scars. The lawsuit claims protocols for medical emergency were not followed by flight attendants. One of the world's most famous seafood restaurants was able to claw out of its financial problems. Red Lobster out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That's according to a statement from the chain's CEO. Red Lobster, which made its debut in 1968, has 545 locations in the U.S. and Canada. It employs roughly 30,000 workers. There are a couple of locations in the Triangle area as well. Olive Garden, meantime, struck a deal to use Uber Eats for deliveries from some of its locations. The multi-year partnership begins later this year. Uber Eats is taking over deliveries from Olive Garden employees. Food can only be ordered through Olive Garden's website and app, not through Uber Eats app. So keep that in mind. Nike CEO stepping down after a rocky tenure. John Donahoe announced he'll be retiring next month. He'll be succeeded by former Nike executive Elliott Hill, who's actually coming out of retirement. The news comes as Nike stock dropped more than 25% over the past year due to slowing sales. The company tried to cut the number of retailers that sell its products, but failed to convince enough customers to shop directly from Nike's website. Well, the moon will soon be getting a temporary friend. A tiny asteroid will begin to into orbit Earth starting September 29th and will essentially act as a mini moon. Researchers discovered the celestial object last month during routine monitoring. It will only be around until November 25th, but it returns to an asteroid belt revolving around the sun. Experts say the only way you can view it is with telescopes used by professional astronomers. Lots more to share with you now. Some more changes are coming to downtown Raleigh roads. We'll tell you about a bridge demolition that will disrupt your travel this weekend. Also, buildings were vandalized and dozens of classes disrupted all across UNC's campus yesterday. How the university is looking to take action over the damage pro-Palestinian protesters left behind.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
Good morning at 8:26. I'm Ken Smith. As you get ready to head out or even plan your day, let's check in with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center for what we can expect.
A mix of sun and clouds across the area right now, and we'll see that through the afternoon. In this view, you can see a good bit of cloud cover, and it's breezy here in Wilson, too. Boy, those whirligigs really spinning around 70 degrees. Partly cloudy in Durham at 68, and then clear here in Fayetteville, also at 68 degrees. Town by town, mostly mid to upper 70s now, or upper 60s as you're heading out the door, but it is 70 in Rocky Mount and Goldsboro already. It's going to be a bit of a muggy day today, so if you're going to be exercising late afternoon, you'll feel it. Temperatures in the mid 80s, and we also have a small chance for storms. Anthony?
Elizabeth, so far so good here on the roads this morning. Our delays are pretty minimal right now. Our I-40 map really not showing much out there this morning for your Friday, looking pretty good. Here's a look at I-440 at Lake Boone Trail. You can see those cars moving along smoothly. No major backups or crashes to report, though, but we'll keep a close eye on it for you this morning.
All right, Republican nominee for governor Mark Robinson will stay on the ballot despite several calls for him to step down. The deadline for him to drop out ended at midnight. A CNN report indicated Robinson made disturbing comments on a porn site before he ran for political office. Robinson denies these allegations. Well, Fayetteville police are searching for an escaped inmate. Officials have been searching around Cape Fear Valley Medical Center and near Sycamore Dairy Road and Bragg Boulevard. It's not clear where the inmate escaped from or the identity of that inmate. Next on Fox 50, a lot more local news and, of course, ahead on today, fall fashion trends. Stay tuned.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
A search for someone who escaped custody is underway in Fayetteville right now. What we know about the escapee and the areas where investigators are searching.
And enough lingering moisture for some patchy fog still here in the Sandhills. I'll show you what it will look like for your morning commute.
Also coming up, the deadline for Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson to drop out of the race for governor has passed. The response from both Democratic and Republican leaders as calls for him to step down grow. So glad you're staying with us here at 8:30 on Fox 50. I'm Ken Smith. Let's get right to meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center, because depending on where you are, you're waking up to a bit of foggy conditions.
Yeah, down in the Sandhills, we've seen a bunch of that. It's interesting because Southern Pines still looking a little foggy, but Pinehurst just down the road looks nice and clear. We take a look at downtown Raleigh, which is over in this direction. We're in eastern Wake County looking westward, and you can see a mix of sun and clouds here across Wake County. Temperatures are warm. It's a little muggy. Dew point 66. Our temperature is 68 right now, so it's going to feel a good bit like summer over the weekend. Right now, we're looking at partly cloudy skies. We'll see that through the afternoon, and much like yesterday, there'll be just a few isolated cells that pop up later today. The coverage minimal. We're going to give a 20% chance of showers and thunderstorms, and you can see that kicking off this afternoon. Again, not a whole lot out there. If you have outdoor plans, I would go for it. Again, those chances are minimal. It is going to be warm and muggy this afternoon. Temperatures will be in the mid 80s, and this pattern continues into the weekend. We'll talk about our potential for some scattered storms, too, coming up. Anthony?
And we head out to the roads this morning, Elizabeth, to get a check here on what we're currently seeing. Here's a live look for you. I-440 at Lake Boone Trail. Those cars are moving along smoothly. It looks like just that normal morning congestion there, or a lack thereof. You can see they're kind of moving along smoothly. No major issues. No big crashes to report other than this one, Wade Avenue eastbound and I-440 eastbound. You can see there are some delays showing up right there. That's one we'll track, but otherwise we're in decent shape here to start the morning.
All right, breaking news now. Fayetteville Police and Cumberland County deputies tell us they are searching for a person who escaped custody. Dozens of officers are searching a large area around Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. WR's Nick Perlin reports on what he's been able to find out about this search.
We still have several questions for the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office right now after a man escaped custody late last night. Now, take a look at this video from the WRAL Breaking News Tracker. This is on Sycamore Dairy Road near a McDonald's, and you can see dozens of Cumberland County Sheriff's deputies as well as Fayetteville police officers searching for the man who escaped. You can see that they're using drones as well as canine units to try to locate this person. Now, we are still trying to find out when exactly this man escaped and where he escaped. Still a lot of unknowns right now. That's why we're at the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office trying to get more information. We're also still trying to find out the identity of the person who escaped. In Cumberland County, Nick Perlin, WRAL News.
Well, this morning, Republican nominee for Governor Mark Robinson is officially staying on the ballot. The midnight deadline for him to drop out of the race passed after several calls for him to step down. This all comes after a CNN report that says Robinson made disturbing, sexist, and racist comments on a porn site before he ran for political office. Now, Robinson denies these allegations, calling them salacious tabloid lies. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey reports on the fallout for Robinson and the state GOP's response.
As of this morning, Mark Robinson's name will remain on your ballot, despite the race here to the governor's mansion taking a major turn. CNN released a report yesterday that alleges Robinson made lewd and racist comments on a porn site, including saying he was, quote, a black Nazi, and wrote posts expressing support for reinstating slavery. Robinson later appeared on CNN for an interview and denied the claims.
We are not getting out of this race. There are people who are counting on us to win this race.
The state GOP later released a statement. It appears they're standing with him, but not all North Carolina Republicans are in support. Some are calling for him to back out of the race. NC State professor Stephen Green says a Robinson withdrawal could bring more supporters.
If Republicans get a new candidate, who knows? They might benefit from a surge of enthusiasm like Democrats got at the national level with Kamala Harris entering the race.
We'll be sure to stay on top of this and keep you updated. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Well, we're hearing from the son of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. According to the CNN report, Robinson disparaged Dr. King using a racial slur to characterize him. Dr. King's son, Martin Luther King III, posted on X saying his praise for slavery, disparaging rhetoric, and grotesque characterization of my dad and his legacy are deeply worrisome. Mr. King says he will be campaigning in North Carolina for Josh Stein. Republican Senator Tom Tillis reacted to the allegations by saying it was a tough day, but we must stay focused on the races we can win. If Harris takes North Carolina, she takes the White House. We cannot let that happen. Well, State Treasurer Dana Falwell, who also sought Republican nomination for governor, has been a longtime critic of Robinson, sharing his unease with Robinson's alleged comments. He spoke to WRAL about how this affects other Republicans running for office in our state.
The Republican Party that I joined nearly 50 years ago was a party that was based on conservatism and common sense, and courtesy, humanity, humility, and ethics. And this reporting that's gone on today shows that he really has none of those.
Well, the WRAL NC Capitol team spoke with sources after this story broke. Now, once we confirmed that calls for Robinson were made by Republicans to step down, we sent this push alert you see right there on your screen. Download the WRAL News app to be first to know about breaking news. Well, the first North Carolina ballots for the November election will be mailed out today. The State Board of Elections says all 100 counties will mail absentee ballots to military and overseas residents today. It's one day before the federal deadline. All other requests will be mailed on September 24th. The ballots were delayed nearly 2 weeks. That's because the state Supreme Court ruled Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name must be removed from the ballot, so the absentee ballots all had to be reprinted. Well, former President Donald Trump will be in North Carolina this weekend. He will hold a rally in Wilmington tomorrow afternoon. This comes just days after his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, visited Raleigh. Vice President Kamala Harris, meantime, continuing her campaign last night in Michigan. She sat down with Oprah Winfrey for a live stream for the Unite for America event. Harris took questions from voters about the cost of living, reproductive rights, and immigration reform. Police are investigating a pro-Palestinian protest that left parts of UNC campus looking like this, really. Demonstrators vandalized buildings and tried to disrupt classes. This was the first protest on UNC's campus since the one during commencement last school year. Yesterday, a Palestinian flag was raised on the UNC flagpole. The same action that led to police placing barricades during a protest last school year. The university said nearly 150 protesters went into at least 9 different academic buildings and started shouting and attempting to disrupt classes.
We have to take this resilience and do things that, they're not convenient for everybody, just to get the university's attention.
The protesters called on UNC to divest from companies with ties to Israel. UNC Chancellor Lee Roberts said in a statement, the university won't tolerate it and will pursue every avenue possible to hold people accountable. A traffic alert to let you know about this weekend. If you're traveling on I-440, the State Department of Transportation will be demolishing the old eastbound bridge over Hillsborough Street. Now, this means Hillsborough Street at I-440 will be closed tonight from 9. It will close all weekend. It will reopen at 5 Monday morning around 5 a.m. This is all weather permitting. Transportation leaders say to plan for detours and possible traffic backups.
Time is 8:38 here in the WRAL Live Center with a breaking update. We've got Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers signing a $193 million 3-year extension. This is his social media page. On the left, his Instagram, a photo of him signing the contract. And on the right, he says that Philadelphia is home. I want to be here for the rest of my career. With this deal, ESPN reports it brings his career earnings to just shy of $515 million. And just in case you haven't seen it before, I'll zoom in a little closer. That right there that you are seeing on his face is a $193 million 3-year contract extension. Smile.
Don't blame him a bit. Sticking with the sports theme now, the Jets dominated the Patriots in a 24-3 win last night. The game wrapped up just before 11:30 with the Patriots falling to the Jets. Patriots rookie quarterback and former UNC star Drake May made his NFL debut in the fourth quarter of the game, but it wasn't enough. There's a full slate of games on WRAL and Fox 50 on Sunday. At 1 o'clock right here on Fox 50, the New Orleans Saints will take on the Philadelphia Eagles. The doubleheader continues with the Ravens taking on the Cowboys once the Saints-Eagles game wraps. Then on Sunday Night Football and WRAL, the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Kickoff is scheduled for 8:20. A new study suggests possible serious consequences for children who have trouble getting to sleep. The warning about ignoring your child's sleep issues you should hear about. Also, a hit Netflix show returns with a pretty stacked cast, which A-listers are joining the cast of Black Mirror Season 7. And as we head outside, let's give you a look at Wake Forest this morning. The rain is out of here, a little bit of a cloudy cloud cover hanging over us. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner shares if you'll need an umbrella later today. .43, a pleasant good morning to our viewers up there in Wilson as we look live at the whirly gigs. Doing a little whirling this morning, but just a nice clear Carolina blue sky hanging over Wilson this morning. Let's welcome in meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. And depending on where you are, you're seeing cloud cover to some degree.
Yeah, I picked this right here in our backyard because you can really see the broken nature of the clouds right here. We're definitely seeing a mix of sun and clouds. Of course, is our tower. It sits in our backyard that, of course, we light up for Christmas. Right now, it is 68 degrees. Our dew point 66, so kind of middle of the road. It doesn't feel as warm and sticky as we would see on a real summer morning, but it also doesn't feel crisp and cool like fall just yet. We have a lot of moisture that's lingering in the atmosphere from that low pressure system that brought us all the rain earlier in the week. Enough so that we had these big, tall, towering cumulus clouds yesterday with a few showers kind of sprinkled in there. And look at this beautiful rainbow. I love it. Charles Wrench sent us this from Raleigh. I happened to be out yesterday evening looking at all those big, towering cumulus clouds and caught a little piece of the rainbow too. You may have as well. We got a number of photos of that rainbow or those rainbows from our weather watchers. Go to WRAL.com, search weather watchers, and send us what you're seeing in your backyard. Really, we're looking at a fairly quiet pattern. What's happening is we just have this lingering moisture here. So as we start to heat things up this afternoon, we'll see those clouds beginning to form, and then we'll see the potential for an isolated shower or thunderstorm. They were a little bit more widespread yesterday than what the models are showing for today. As a matter of fact, we're showing pretty dry conditions for us today, but we put a 20% chance on just because certainly there's the chance with the amount of moisture that we'll see in the atmosphere. Lunch outside, yes, definitely, but it's not going to be as good as it would be maybe Monday when we're going to see a nice crisp fall feel to the atmosphere. It'll be a bit warm at lunchtime today, 79 to 80, and it will be just a little bit on the humid side. Checking out our temperature this afternoon, 83 in Raleigh, 82 Durham, 85 in Fayetteville, so low to mid 80s for highs today, and that'll be the same story as we get through the weekend. A bit humid Saturday and Sunday, and warm too, 84 for Saturday, 87 Sunday. Not quite our summertime temperatures, but it's still going to have a bit of a summer feel, and we'll also have that chance of a few scattered thunderstorms. The humidity, is going to stay below the tropical level, but it's still going to be a little on the sticky side until we get into early next week. It should back off just a little bit. How about Saturday? We'll see partly cloudy skies, a few isolated showers or storms popping up again. The coverage looks pretty minimal until Saturday night. After midnight, we may see some showers and storms roll through. Hopefully it won't wake you up on Saturday night. But Sunday, it's all gone, and we're back to partly cloudy skies. It'll be warm and muggy with slight chance of a thunderstorm. So I'll put yellow in for outdoor plans. Definitely go, but just know it's going to feel a little bit on the warm and humid side, and there's just that small chance for thunderstorms. Check in what happens after that. Of course, Sunday's the first day of fall. Monday's going to feel more like the first day of fall with that high of 79 and a little drop in our humidity.
From festivals to concerts, there are a lot of ways to get out and about this weekend. WRAL lifestyle editor Kathy Hanrahan is here with the best bets for the weekend. So, Kathy, let's start with some big concerts this weekend.
We've got some concerts. Okay, so singer Jelly Roll is going to bring his Beautifully Broken tour to Raleigh tonight. It's going to be over at the Lenovo Center, and tickets are still available for the show. On Saturday night, you've got the annual Band Together benefit concert. It's over at Red Hat Amphitheater. The Black Pumas and Corey Wong are headlining. They're going to be joined by Young Gun Silver Fox and DJ Terminator X. It's a whole benefit for mental health in the Triangle.
One of the major benefactors will be the Foundation of Hope. Looking forward to that. Well, this weekend also includes some festivals, including a big one in Durham. Of course, WRAL is a proud community partner of Cinefest. Tell us about this family-friendly event.
The 49th Annual Centerfest Arts Festival. It's happening Saturday and Sunday in Durham. Now, presented by the Durham Arts Council, this event features an art market and 4 stages of live music and performances. Gates open at 10 a.m. on Saturday, 11 a.m. on Sunday. Admission is free, but there's a suggested donation of $5 per adult at the gate to help fund the annual event.
And that's good. And, there are a couple of cultural festivals happening this weekend in this area as well.
We're in festival season right now. On Saturday, Festa Italiana is over at Apex. This event includes live entertainment, cooking demonstrations, food trucks, street vendors, and a kids zone. It's all happening on Hunt Street and Town Hall campus, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Admission is free. And over in Morrisville, there's a big international festival on Saturday from 2 to 6 p.m. It's all happening on Town Hall Drive. There's going to be food trucks, vendors, live performances, and admission is free.
Now, the International Festival getting my attention for sure. Now, to find out more about these events, just go to WRAL.com and search the keyword out and about. Thanks, Kathy. We're getting a look at the vision for the property of the old Durham Police Headquarters and the surrounding land. Developers shared these renderings with WRAL. The new project will renovate the current building into a boutique hotel. Also, the land around it will include shopping, lab spaces, an art museum, and 92 affordable housing units. The project is expected to officially start the first phase of construction in 2026. North Carolinians are already booking their holiday trips. That's according to a new survey by AAA. 25% of people living in North Carolina started planning their trips before August. Almost half of North Carolinians plan to book their holiday trip this month or in October. A small percentage will wait until November and possibly December. Now, to get the best prices and deals, AAA recommends booking a trip now, sooner rather than later. Well, JetBlue planning to set up airport lounges at 2 major airports next year. The airline says the first lounge will open at JFK International in New York. The second will be at Boston's Logan International Airport. Company officials say the lounges will boost the value of JetBlue's True Blue loyalty program and are part of a plan to increase premium perks. Well, if your child has trouble sleeping, ignoring it can lead to serious consequences. A new study found children with sleep issues tend to have a higher risk for suicide when they're older. Researchers studied 8,800 children before the ages of 9 and 10 for 2 years. Severe sleep disturbances were linked to the kids who reported suicidal thoughts. Nearly 1 in 3 with severe sleep issues later reported some level of suicidal behavior. The odds stayed the same after researchers accounted for other factors like anxiety, depression, and family conflict. The CDC reports suicide is one of the leading causes of deaths among children 10 to 14 years old. Well, Los Angeles Dodgers superstar Shohei Ohtani has made Major League Baseball history. He's the first player to become a member of the 50-50 club during the Dodgers game against the Miami Marlins yesterday. The 50-50 season consists of 50-plus home runs and 50-plus stolen bases in a single season. Ohtani hit his 50th homer of the season in the top of the 7th inning after stealing his 50th and 51st base early in the game. The game was Ohtani's first three-home run game of his career. Rapper Nelly is being sued over his debut album, Country Grammar. Members of his former group, Saint Lunatics, have filed a copyright infringement lawsuit claiming they weren't credited or paid for work on the album. The album was released in 2000. No word from Nelly or his representatives about the lawsuit. A hit Netflix series is getting ready for a new season, and you recognize some of the cast. Netflix dropped a teaser for the upcoming 7th season of Black Mirror yesterday. Some of the cast include Paul Giamatti, Awkwafina, Issa Rae, and Tracy Ellis Ross. Filming has already started. The 6 new episodes are set to start streaming next year. A hip-hop queen is getting the silver screen treatment, and Sabrina Carpenter is spreading holiday cheer. Anna Apollouros takes a spin around the Hollywood nation.
And the cop goes gangster.
Big Nick returns, Latifah gets a biopic, and Carpenter will celebrate the festive season in the Hollywood nation.
Expecting someone else?
Sabrina Carpenter is hosting her first holiday variety music special for Netflix. A Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter will feature the pop singer performing songs from her holiday-themed EP, Fruitcake, as well as other Christmas classics. The show will also include comedic guests, surprise duets, fun cameos, and more. It premieres December 6th. Queen Latifah will share her life story on the big screen. According to Deadline, a biopic is in the works, which will chronicle Latifah's rise to fame as a rapper, singer, and actress. The film is the first in a planned series of movies about hip-hop icons.
It's great to have you aboard.
The bankers of Pierpoint score a renewal. HBO is bringing the hit drama series Industry back for a 4th season. The news comes ahead of the show's season 3 finale on September 29th. It follows a group of young adults navigating the cutthroat London financial world.
So your next job, I'm going to do it with you.
Gerard Butler is back in action as Big Nick in today's First Looks. Lionsgate released the trailer for Den of Thieves 2 Pantera, featuring Butler reprising his role as Detective Nick O'Brien. The sequel follows the Los Angeles police officer in Europe, hunting down O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s Donnie Wilson, who gets involved with a crew plotting a massive heist of the world's largest diamond exchange. The action crime drama arrives in theaters January 10th, 2025.
And that was Anna Apopoulos reporting. Before we head to break, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers. Another check of weather and traffic after the break.